Hey everyone, and welcome to the Retro channel, and today we are back with the Mega Drive. In the previous video we looked at the Open Heart mod, which is a relatively new mod that uses a Raspberry Pi Pico to do a number of neat little functions like region switching and CPU overclocking on the Mega Drive and the Genesis. And while that's been going great, one thing has been bugging me, and that is the jail bars from these consoles. Especially the ones like this one, which is a VA4 model. The jail bars are quite terrible. Let's have a little look at Sonic so you can see exactly what I mean. So here's our RGB output, and although it looks very sharp, you can notice some fine vertical banding, especially in the blue sky area. And these are our jail bars. Jail bars aren't always necessarily going to be this closely spaced together. If we take something like the Commodore 128, for example, which is notorious for jail bars, you'll notice that they're much further spaced apart. This gives us a clue as to what could be causing the jail bars. So the closer spaced they are, the higher the frequency is of whatever signal is getting into the RGB output, or in the Commodore 128's case again, the Luma Chroma or S-Video output. But for the Mega Drive and the Genesis, it's basically already known what is causing these jail bars, and that is the color subcarrier. This signal is used to encode the color information for both PAL and NTSC outputs, which is what you get from the composite video and the RF outputs on these machines. But RGB doesn't use this color subcarrier, so potentially we could just disable it, and that should get rid of our jail bars. Of course, the downside of disabling it is if we ever want to use the composite video or the RF output, we're not going to have any color. And while I usually prefer to use RGB when possible, there may be times when I want to use that composite video output, say for the transparency effects in Sonic here, which don't really look that great when you're using RGB. But with composite, they look believable. There's also, if I've got a display that only has a composite input and doesn't have RGB or SCART, then, I want to have a functional composite output. So I don't really want to just disable the color subcarrier. I'd much rather try and keep it intact while still getting rid of these jail bars. Thankfully, the Console Mods Wiki does have some suggestions on how to do this. The first one is just lifting the subcarrier pin. As I said, that will disable the color output from composite and RF, so we want to try and avoid that if possible. The next option is the subcarrier bypass board. This is a little PCB that basically reroutes the subcarrier signal away from the RGB lines. In theory, this should remove the jail bars as well, while still keeping the color for composite video and RF intact. There is also a third suggestion, which is just to use a switch to ground the subcarrier signal. I don't really know if I want to do that because I don't really feel comfortable grounding a signal like that. I guess, it probably works fine, but I want to try and avoid that if possible. And, if we're going to use a switch, that means we have to install a switch somewhere on the case, which is another thing that I want to try and avoid. There is also mention of the triple bypass mod, and no doubt that will improve the RGB output, but there's also mention that it won't completely remove the jail bars caused by subcarrier interference, particularly for the Model 2, VA2 and VA4 boards. Of course, we have a Model 1 here, but no doubt even if I did the triple bypass, I'd still need to do something about this color subcarrier. So that's kind of not an option I really want to look at the moment, and with the Mega AV mod on the horizon, I think it's currently in beta, I'm not going to be installing any triple bypass boards anytime soon. So that pretty much leaves us with the subcarrier bypass board. Obviously this will involve having some PCBs made up, and there's a bunch of other steps that we need to do to get that thing installed. I'm sure it works great, but I want to try and do this without relying on the bypass board, which means I don't have to wait for PCBs to arrive, and try and keep it as simple as possible. Potentially simpler than using this bypass board anyway. So let's have a look at what's going on inside this console. This is a PAL VA4 revision, so This, what we see here is not going to apply to every board revision of the Mega Drive and Genesis, but hopefully what I go over in the rest of this video will be enough to give you some ideas as to what you can do with your particular revision. Let's first trace out the subcarrier signal and also the RGB signals on this board, see where they come in close contact, and work out a plan of attack. So like I mentioned, this is a VA4 revision, and here's our VDP over here, and this is what generates not only our RGB signals, but also our color subcarrier signal. The RGB signals come out the side here, over there on these three traces, and then eventually head over to the Sony CXA 1145, which is basically a video encoder, and that generates our composite video using the RGB and color subcarrier, and sync, of course, which comes out somewhere from the VDP. But our RGB lines are over here, which quickly go down into these vias, and over on this side of the VDP at pin 50, which is one of these over here, is where our color subcarrier signal comes from. Pretty sure it's this one right here that goes to this tiny via just nearby. So if all you want to do is just reduce the jailbars on the RGB output, you can simply just lift pin 50 or potentially cut the trace coming from pin 50. This will obviously disable the color output from composite and RF, but if you're not going to be ever using them anyway, who cares? Well, maybe the next owner will care. So given how far away the subcarrier signal is from the RGB lines, I don't think our problem is going to be on the top side of the board. Let's take a look at the underside. And of course on the underside we find a bunch of traces and surface mount components, and the open heart mod. To make this a little bit easier, I've taken a photo and actually traced everything out, so let's take a look at that instead. And here is what I found. So the black line is our color subcarrier signal. Down here is where it's coming from the VDP. And obviously these are our RGB signals, also coming from the VDP. So it doesn't take a genius to work out where the problem may be. We can see our subcarrier runs directly under these capacitors and resistors on the RGB lines, and it also comes fairly close to the blue signal over here. That might explain why the jailbars are more obvious in the blue colors. So the first thing I want to try is cutting off the subcarrier completely. That way we can take a look at, say, the best case scenario, and then we can work towards matching that with our modifications. So I'm actually going to cut it off on the underside of the board just after it comes through that via from the VDP. So it's hiding under this little capacitor here. There's our via, and there's our trace that leads up to all this fun stuff over here. So I'm going to cut it just to the right of this silk screen for the capacitor. So that trace should now be cut. So if we check from this via to R23, there's nothing there. If we check from there to the cut trace, yeah, it's definitely been severed right in the middle. And you may be wondering why I cut the thicker trace on the underside when I could have just cut the thinner trace on the top side. Don't worry, I do have a plan. So let's first take a look at composite video, make sure there's no color there. There is actually a hint of color. Let's just go into the 240p test suite. So see how it's almost picking up some color? That pretty much tells us that the color subcarrier signal is pretty powerful. I think it's basically bridging that gap, or at least there's a little bit of capacitive coupling over that trace that we just cut. Let's, if I touch it, you can see the color just barely improves. So might have to cut a little bit more out of that trace just to be sure. That'll sort ya. Still a hint of color. That's impressive. Anyway, I think we can say that our subcarrier has basically been disabled. Let's see what the results of that are with the RGB output. And there we go. So I can definitely still see some faint jail bars in there. That's a surprise. I think it's better than it was before. Oh, it's definitely better than it was before. Yeah, they're definitely a lot fainter, but they are still there if you look closely enough. It's possible that that's happening inside the VDP itself, and there's not really much we can do about it. But at least we've improved something. Now we just need to figure out if we can reconnect this in a different way and still keep these improvements. So the first thing I thought of was to move R23 from its position over here to bridge the gap that we've cut in this trace over here. In theory, that'll reduce the amplitude on this side of R23, and maybe it won't couple as badly into the blue signal at least. So let's give that a try first. Now it is worth noting that there is a capacitor at C102. This is 33 picofarads and it goes between the subcarrier and ground. So if we move this resistor to before this capacitor, we are changing the circuit a little bit, but I don't think it's going to make any real world difference. I guess we're about to find out. So I've just exposed the copper on either side of that trace, and we're going to move R23 over to here. And yeah, the reason I decided not to do this on the top side is because we've got very little trace to work with. All right, our resistor's been moved, so we should now see 3.3K between this point and here. Yes, cool. Now we just need to bridge those two pads. All right, let's see if that worked. So we should now have color with composite again. And we do. Still looks very composite-y, but at least it works. And our waterfall still looks transparent. Let's switch over to RGB. Of course, our waterfall doesn't look transparent anymore, but that's to be expected. Let's just go back to the start of the game. All right, well, I think we have actually reduced the jail bars from when we first started. Not sure if it looks as good as when we disabled the subcarrier completely, but it might actually be pretty close, and that's just from moving that resistor to a different location. Yeah, okay, so definitely still some obvious jail bars in the blue. The others may have improved a little bit though, but I've got some more tricks up my sleeve, so let's carry on, see if we can get this any better. So I'm thinking for our next step, we remove this capacitor here, which will basically stop the signal going underneath all the RGB lines, and actually cut the trace off up here, and then we can stick a capacitor between this point and pin 6, basically doing the same job as this capacitor, but not having the rest of the trace go under all the RGB signals. So let's get this capacitor off the board. It should be a 10 nanofarad according to the schematics. Then again, that resistor that we moved according to the schematics is a 10 kilo ohm, and as we saw, it's only a 3.3K on this board, so don't always trust the schematics. Maybe they're for the NTSC models, and because this is a power board, maybe that's why. Maybe it's a different revision, I don't know. But let's just measure this, make sure it is actually 10 nanofarad. And yes, 10.4 nanofarad. Cool. Now, unfortunately, this isn't going to be big enough to bridge the gap between C29 and pin 6 of the video encoder, so we'll have to use a through-hole cap instead. RU 10 nanofarads. 9.8. Good enough. I guess we'll try and keep this sort of away from the RGB signals, because pins 2, 3, and 4 on this thing are our RGB signals, so try and keep the cap somewhat away from those. On this side, I think it's like 23, 22, and 21 are the RGB outputs, so you also don't want to go too close to those either. I think Smack bang in the middle is probably best. I just noticed there's a via right underneath that cap, so let's try and lift it up a little bit. Don't want to short to that. All right, that is actually lifted quite a bit off the board. Okay, so with the cap removed from there and repositioned over here, we've effectively disconnected this part of the trace. However, it's still coming from pin 6 on this side, so we want to cut it off right here, because otherwise this trace is just going to act as another source of interference, and we don't want that. So we shouldn't have any continuity from here back over to here. Sweet. All right, let's just quickly make sure our composite output is still working. Oh yeah, we've got color. We're good there. Swap to RGB. There we go. I think we might have. Let's look at the color bars. Yeah, I think there's definitely less jail bars in that blue, and the other two colors, very minimal jail bars. I think, well, as we saw with completely disconnecting the subcarrier, there's always going to be a hint of those jail bars present. So I think we're very close to where we were with the subcarrier completely disconnected. So this is looking pretty good. Let's go back to Sonic, see how Sonic's faring. I'm pretty damn happy with that. I don't think, well, yeah, like I said, it looks pretty much the same as when we had it completely severed. So I don't see any other way of improving that even further. So let's quickly look back at where we started and where we're at now. And, well, the difference is pretty obvious. But we can also see that with just disabling the subcarrier entirely, it's pretty much the same result as what we've got with our fairly minimal modifications. And of course, composite still looks exactly the same, so we didn't break anything there. And if you think about it, this mod really wasn't all that complicated. It was just me trying to explain it that was probably the most complicated part. Really all we've done is just cut the subcarrier trace just underneath this capacitor, or behind the capacitor. Moved R23 over to where we cut that trace and connected it there instead. Bridged R23, removed C28 and installed a new capacitor to replace C28, and then cut the trace going off pin 6 underneath all our RGB goodies. And that's it. We didn't need to use a little PCB or any shielded coax cable, which don't get me wrong, does sound like a really good idea, but if we can get away without using that stuff, why not? So I think on that note, my job is done here. Hopefully you've found this useful. And yeah, like I said, this does only apply to the VA4 boards, but hopefully I've sort of explained it well enough that you may be able to apply it to different board revisions that also suffer from these jail bars. Thank you all for watching, and a huge thanks to the people that support the channel on Patreon. They're the ones that basically enable me to continue making videos just like this one. So if you can and want to support, links to that are down in the video description. In return, you'll get ad-free early access to all videos, along with discounts on the Electron store and the occasional behind-the-scenes stuff. So if possible, please consider. If not, a like, share, subscribe, all those kind of things also really help out. That is it for me. I will catch you in the next one. Bye.